Hey guys, Max Invest here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Palantir, which is a data company. If you enjoy the video, remember to like and subscribe, and remember, nothing said in this video is financial advice, and you should always do your own research. Now, Palantir is a company that was co-founded by Peter Thiel and Alexander Karp in 2003. It supplies world-class software to the world's most important institutions. Basically what it does is it aggregates volumes of data into a central platform that is very easy to understand and used, where it can be analyzed and interpreted, and many entities can make decisions using Palantir's software. It is primarily in the intel and defense institutions right now. However, it is also in basically every industry you can think of and can really be used for anything. Palantir have said that their core mission is to make America the strongest country in the world, which really suits their defense objectives. Palantir Gotham is used for counterterrorism and defense, while Palantir Foundry is more used for its corporate clients. Now, we're going to take a look at the company's use case and the company's contracts. Palantir has a big use case in the defense industry with an $800 million contract with the army. In Afghanistan, Palantir found that soldiers were mapping networks of insurgents and markers of roadside bombs by hand previously. However, with the new contract, Palantir aggregates all of the data and ensures that this is done in the most efficient way possible, and it is done remotely, reducing the danger for soldiers. Palantir is also credited with having the data to track down and kill Osama bin Laden. However, this is not confirmed, and Palantir also found that spyware was installed on the Dalai Lama's computer and helped correct this. As we can see, Palantir has a range of contracts with the CIA, Marines, Air Force, Special Operations Command, FBI, and its biggest contract to date, which is an $800 million contract with the army. All of these contracts are aimed at defense and helping out America. Palantir has also helped out in the health services part of the government. The CDC in America is a company or a government organization that is aimed at stopping the spread of the pandemic and aimed at a bunch of other health things. However, recently they have used Palantir to help find out where the virus is, where to distribute vaccines, where to distribute the PPE, and where to lock down certain places in America. So the government are trusting Palantir with doing some of the most difficult tasks in America right now, and some of the most important tasks. As we can see overseas, the National Institutes of Health and Britain's health services are also clients of Palantir, which is very good for the company, as it shows it is expanding out to help other governments. And if the US government trusts Palantir so much, it's highly likely many other governments will trust Palantir the same way. Moreover, Palantir don't just help the governments. This is not all they do. Palantir also help basically any company you can think of. The first large contract was with JP Morgan and Chase, and it was adopted to monitor certain employees with the company. However, it no longer has this contract with JP Morgan and Chase. This was back in 2013 and is quite old now. Palantir is now used by a bunch of other companies. For example, Airbus uses Palantir to respond to manufacturing problems. So Palantir can aggregate all of its data and tell them the most efficient, best way to respond to manufacturing problems. And what this will do is reduce their costs of production, make them more efficient, and support the business. BP has used Palantir to analyze drilling data, which has reportedly caused a 10% increase in oil production. Moreover, Rio Tinto uses Palantir to improve safety and costs of production, and Amazon Web Services uses Palantir as well. So as we can see, they have a bunch of commercial contracts, and basically any company in the world or any government organization in the world can use Palantir to help with anything ranging from business costs all the way to protecting and defending the country. Let's also take a look at Palantir's financials to see if the company is financially sound. Now, it's a pretty big company with a market capitalization of 40 billion. However, it has a forward PE of over 100. This may have dropped because the share price has been plummeting in the past few weeks and the past few months. However, it is a very highly valued company. It has a price to sales ratio of 36, which is extremely high for most companies. And if we move on to the balance sheet, it has cash at 2 billion, which is decent, and a current ratio of 3.74, which is astronomically good. It's a very good current ratio, and we do see similar current ratios with technology focused companies. Now, since the share price has dropped so much, the short float is 3.2%, which is not that high, but it was a lot higher when the stock was way higher. So it does show that some of the bears of the stock are starting to stop shorting the stock in light of its drop in share price. Now, if we take a look at Palantir's revenue, we can see $610 million of revenue comes from the government, which is 56% of total revenue, while 44% of the revenue is commercial, with $482 million coming from this. I do expect to see commercials start catching up to be nearly 50-50 with government as more and more businesses adopt this. But I also expect the government revenue to continue increasing as the average revenue per customer is also constantly increasing. We can see their full year revenue has increased by 47% from 743 million to 1.1 billion, which is a massive increase. And if they can keep this 40% to 50% growth rate, they will deliver on their share price. Now, as I just stated, their average revenue per customer has been increasing by 41% year on year, and these big US government customers, if they really like Palantir's services, they're likely to continue using Palantir in the same way that they have currently been doing. So as we can see, Palantir is a decent company financially. It's having massive growth. However, it is currently not very profitable, and in the future, Palantir's share price is valued extremely highly, so it is something to keep track of. Now, if we take a look at Palantir's growth and their growth prospects, we'll see the analysts do expect this company to grow decently. They expect it to hit 1.5 billion in revenue by 2021 and nearly 2 billion in revenue by 2022 on average. Now, this isn't that bullish for the company, as it's only about 35% revenue growth, which is not as good as they've previously been doing. However, I do think they can get around the 40% growth and beat out the analysts a little bit. As we can see on TipRanks, the analysts have put a $25 price target on Palantir for 12 months. Now, that's a 20% upside from here. However, I don't really want to play with short-term predictions, as you never know what will happen with this company. The CEO of the company has said multiple times that this is a long-term stock and they don't really care what happens year on year. So I would rather just watch it over a long-term basis and have 5 or 10 year price targets for a very long-term stock like this, which has tons of growth ahead of it. Now let's look at the ownership of Palantir. So as we can see, Palantir has 13.04% of shares held by insiders and 12.53% of shares held by institutions. This is not that much institutional ownership over the stock, and it could change as Palantir gets better and better, helping drive up the share price. Now, if we look at the management, Alexander Karp is the CEO and co-founder of Palantir, and he holds 20.5 million shares. This makes up the majority of his net worth. However, he also does own a range of other businesses. He is highly ambitious, and I've watched numerous CEO interviews with him, and he really believes in Palantir's growth story. He has tried to remain apolitical and help the US government, whatever they are doing at the time, whether it be controversial, and he has very good outlooks for the company, expecting this company to one day be a $1 trillion company. A big worry about this company is there has been recent insider selling. All this means, however, is the share lockup period for Palantir recently expired, and a lot of the people who are working with Palantir have made tons of profits, and they haven't been able to take any profits and use their money. So it does make sense that CEOs and other people are selling Palantir stock to take some profits so they can actually use the money they've made, because if it's all in shares, they cannot use this money. Now let's take a look at some of the risks. Palantir is a controversial company. It worked with Trump on border protection, even though the CEO said he's not even voting for Trump. He's just doing whatever the administration at the time wants. However, it's had significant protests against it, and people do not like its apolitical stance. However, I do think it's better for the company to remain apolitical and help whatever organisation is in charge for their long-term growth. Moreover, Palantir has a massive reputation with the US government, and if the US government decided to stop using Palantir for whatever reason, it would significantly damage their reputation and you would see this stock plummet and their earnings and profits reduce. As you can see, there are a couple of risks to Palantir. However, the main risk I do think is their stock price. And even though Palantir has fallen from highs of $45 all the way down roughly 60% to lows of $21, it is still pretty highly valued. There has been a good pullback and it's trading at the current base, so it does look like a good time to enter, and I did actually enter into this stock at $21. However, this is not financial advice. But regardless, at $21, it is still a very highly valued company, and people are pricing the stock not for what it's doing today, but what it will be doing in many years. With $1 billion of revenue and a $40 billion market cap, this is quite an overvalued company. It is not grossly overvalued or anything, and there are companies like Snowflake in the same space who have double the market cap of Palantir and half the revenue of Palantir. So if you compare it to the competitors, it's actually not that overvalued due to a big drop in stock price and due to a lot of people and insiders selling out of the shares. However, it is still quite overvalued, so I would consider this before getting into the company, and I would personally like to see it fall even further so I can get Palantir at an even better price, because it is a very good company. So, as you can see, Palantir is one of the stocks that I do really like, and I do think it has a good future. However, it will need to continue to deliver years and years to come to deliver on its valuation, and I do think it can do this and eventually reach $1 trillion. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.